Tonight is a different animal when we talk about big games. It feels like the irresistible force meeting the immovable object. Now, you think about what Brett Yormark thought about when he wanted to have the Big 12 expand. You think about the brands that he wanted to obviously entice to his league. He dreamed about nights like tonight. Because since he has taken over, we have seen the Big 12 add major teams in men's basketball. And at the forefront of that is Arizona, a program that has only been to 4 Final Fours in its history, 88, 94, 97, and 2001, all under Lute Olson, but is synonymous with being obviously one of the flagship programs of the sport. And when I talk about the irresistible force meeting the immovable object, this is what I mean. Arizona is 23-0 this season. Arizona is off to the best start in the history of the Big 12 for any one program. Arizona obviously has the inside track to be the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament and has just continued to stack wins and destroy teams, much as it did Saturday in Tucson against Oklahoma State. A very good offensive team that was held to 47 points in a 37-point win. Tonight's going to be different, and it's going to be different for this reason. Kansas has always had one of the great home court advantages in the sport, especially under Bill Self. Now, I didn't realize just how dominant Kansas has been at home, but I reached out to the school just to double check on Sunday, and I, for all intents and purposes, wanted to double check this fact. Because Kansas on Big Monday on ESPN under Bill Self is 39-0. The Jayhawks have never lost under Bill Self on Big Monday. And now they take on a team, Arizona, that is number 1 in the country. And it feels like to me, and this obviously game hits a lot different because Arizona's number 1 and Kansas is Kansas and it's big money and all that. But it feels like to me, with what we're seeing with the top 6 teams at the Big 12, Kansas, Arizona, Houston, BYU, Texas Tech, Iowa State, because now all these teams are playing each other in the latter part of the schedule, it feels like we have a Sweet 16 or elite caliber game every other day in the conference. The conference has been that good. Now, in this game, there's a lot of keys. There's obviously going to be a lot of big-time players on the floor. But I think this is a game where Flory Badunga can not just come to the forefront, but can start to get more of the national attention he deserves. And I really think, because of everything that's been going on with Darren Peterson, in the lineup, out of the lineup, ridiculous performance, then he goes to the bench and puts the ice packs on his knees and his quads, whatever's banged up at the time. I think because so much attention has been on Darren Peterson, it has moved Flory Badunga into the shadows, and it shouldn't. Because Flory Badunga, over the last 5 games or so, is playing the best basketball of his college career since he's been at Kansas. During that span, 15.8 points, 8.8 rebounds, 3.5 blocks. And tonight, Kansas is going to need all that and more against as physical a troika of big men as there is in the sport, with Koa Pete, Toby Awaka, and Mo Krivash. Another thing, and Kansas is on a 7-game winning streak entering this game. Kansas's role players got significantly better when Darren Peterson was out of the lineup and when Darren Peterson was in and out of the lineup. Because if you remember, there were games where Darren Peterson checked out and these other guys had to step up without him. Trey White has been incredible for Kansas over the last 2.5 months. Nobody's talking about him. Melvin Council has been very, very good as a consistent double-figure scoring threat. Bryson Tiller we talked about last week. But now all of a sudden, because Kansas did not have Darren Peterson for such a long time, and even when he came back, He still is in and out of the lineup at times. But because of all those things, we have seen guys like Trey White, like Melvin Council, reach a different level of consistency and playing with a different level of confidence. With that said, Kansas has not played a team this season and has played a great schedule like Arizona. And this is something that I think obviously is a credit to a coach, but coaches are always, in my opinion, the most impressive when they have an uncanny ability to always adapt to the type of personnel that's currently on their roster. And that's what's happened this season with Tommy Lloyd. And I saw this. I was in Tucson before the season for a practice, and Tommy Lloyd, who's a very, very mild-mannered guy, stopped practice multiple times when the ball was not getting inside like it needed to. And he knows for this team to go where it's going to go, it needs the ball to be fed constantly to Krivash, to Pete, to Awaka. And we have seen now Arizona be a team that doesn't shoot, obviously, a lot from the outside, that wants to be dominant in the paint. And I think a big thing to watch tonight, in my opinion, is the guy that's going to have the keys to the car at the most important time in the game, and that's Jaden Bradley. He was awesome, obviously, on opening night down the stretch against Florida. He was awesome against UCLA at Intuit Dome. And when Arizona has played in key situations down the stretch, it has been Jaden Bradley who has made the big plays. So I think Jaden Bradley tonight is a focal point for Arizona, especially down the stretch if it's a close game against Kansas. And for Kansas, I talked a lot about the ancillary pieces, but make no mistake about this. Darren Peterson is made for games like tonight. Darren Peterson 7 days ago made three-point shots down the stretch at Texas Tech that looked like they were on a Kobe Bryant caliber level, especially the one to tie the game late. And then he drilled, obviously, the game winner from the left wing. But this is a guy, again, I'm not saying he's going to be the National Player of the Year. I'm not saying he is somebody, because he's been so sporadic with his usage, that's in a situation that you can make a case right now to be the National Player of the Year. But I'm saying this. Cam Boozer is having the best season in college basketball. But if you're doing a draft right now and you are evaluating who you're going to take to start your team, nobody, and I mean nobody in the sport, has a higher ceiling than Kansas's Darren Peterson. And nobody in the sport will play on a bigger stage tonight than Darren Peterson when Kansas, who is 39-0 under Bill Self on Big Monday, will host Arizona, who's 23-0 and off to the best start in the history of the Big 12.